Mr. S.H. Zaidi. And Mr. S.H. Zaidi would be talking about brand valuation with the financial perspective. His background is that he's a chartered accountant by profession and has been with Oberoi Hotels, then Hala Supply Chain Services Limited, and he has been a consultant for a number of organizations to evaluate their brands. He'll be sharing with us the ideas that how brands are valued in financial perspective when maybe any acquisition is happening or any financial transaction has to happen. So I would like to welcome Mr. S.H. Zaidi on the stage. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you.
And thanks, Mr. Talis. After Mr. Sengupta's presentation, a finance guy talking to you, it will be like it's boring square. So a person who has been throughout in the advertising, and then a chartered accountant who take pride in we belong to an institute established in 1949, and we are into digital marketing. So see the gap, and I have to bridge that. I'll be talking on brand valuation. And my name is a little bit too long, Sanaul Hassan Zaidi. So as Mr. Talis has reduced it to S.H. Zaidi, and I have done it in a different way, calling it I've used it in a different way. I've called myself Sana Zaidi. Being a chartered accountant by profession, and I've been connected with so many organizations from beginning of my career. I've seen too many organizations. I'll try to concise myself to something which is called brand valuation. And to understand brand valuation from an accountant's perspective, the first thing is to understand what is brand and what is valuation. You have been listening about brand, and you are the people from branding and advertising. I am somebody who is new to branding. I'm from finance background. So when I talk about valuation of brands, when I talk of brands, I'll be only talking from the point of view of coming to a same platform. Say, for example, I've asked, what is the height of the roof? I'll say something around 14 feet. Probably you will say about 16 feet. Somebody sitting on that side might be 15.5 feet. So to understand valuation and have a correct understanding of the valuation, let's come to a common platform, and that is the reason why I have included something about brand, which you have already heard from Mr. Sengupta. Brand definition. Just to understand what is brand, brand is a name, is a term, is a sign, is a symbol, is a design, is a combination of all. These are the things which altogether gives a perception of a brand. Brand is also involves perception, it is loyalty, it's awareness, it's identity, it's value. I'll go back, say, if all these things, all these features, it involves incurring of a cost. When you create a brand, you incur certain costs. When you create a brand, you ensure future cash flows. These are the two main drivers that ultimately gives you value of a brand. Sometime back in the last session, somebody asked, how do you measure the success of a brand? We as a chartered accountant or we as finance people, we'll say a brand is successful if the value that we measure goes up. A brand is not successful if the value which we judge from a different point of view from the standard methodologies, the brand is not successful. It gives you a measure, a figure, convert into numbers, and then you know if it is successful or not. Brand is a logo? No, it's not. Brand is a name? No, it's not. It's a product? No. Ultimately, what it is, a brand is a promise delivered. Whatever perception a brand you have created for a brand, whatever shape, logo, name, anything that you have created in the name of a brand, ultimately what it is, it delivers a promise. The person who is delivering it, somebody else. You are creating a promise, and the people around your target audience, your target customers, they receive a promise, and they expect that that promise is delivered, and that is brand. Brands convey attributes, special features, benefits, values, culture. All these have been spoken up. But why I'm reiterating it? Because these are the things on which we'll build up and understand what is valuation. Brands have value perceptions. If the perceptions change, the value change. Giving a very simple example, if a atta, flour, is sold open, its value or the price will be different. If it is packaged in Ashirwad Bori, the price is different. So the perception changes with the package, with the brand, and the price changes. When the price changes, the value of the brand changes. A good brand has a value, and a research must try to put a figure on this. And there was an exercise, and you can create an exercise. And a picture of a car with superimposing different brands, 3 pictures, same car. One is having a different logo, one is having a different logo, the other is having a different logo. We ask you around, give us the value. The perception that you have, the value that you'll give. Same car having different logos, you'll have different values. So the brand adds to the values or change in the price of the product that transfers or gets converted into the value of the brand. Brands are also vulnerable to the extent that one small mistake or one small error, or may not be an error, an anti-propaganda, might bring it down the value of the product, value of the brand. It has already been talked of. What I had in my presentation, an example of Maggi, which has also been talked of. The value of Maggi as a brand on 20th May 2015 was different, and on 21st May, it was different. So the value of a brand can change drastically in a day. So the value of a brand, the brand is vulnerable and highly vulnerable. What happened with Perrier in 1990s? There was another example, same as Maggie. There was a news item that benzene was found in Perrier, and they had to withdraw a huge lot of their products from the market to retain their or get back some of their brand value or brand image. Same thing happened sometime back with Limca. They might have sold billions or millions of bottles. One bottle contained a cockroach somewhere, but I don't know how it came in. That one bottle created a huge slump and a huge plummeting down the value of Limca in that time. Then we'll come to valuation. Now, this is what I understand as a valuer, what brand is. Which you all knew earlier, we are coming into the same platform. Now, understanding valuation, what is a valuation is? Let's first understand what is valuation. I'll say the value of this, the height of this roof from the ground is 16 feet. Somebody else would say 14 feet. These are measurable things, but still I have a different opinion than another person. If you ask somebody to come and have a tape and measure it, somebody will come and say, no, 16 feet, 1 inch. Give the same tape to another person, he'll say 16 feet, 2 inch. So there'll be a difference in opinion. So when these things are measurable apparently very clearly, there will be a difference in opinion from one person to the other person. Similarly, valuation will also, of brands will have difference. But there is another added problem. Brand is a perception. Brand is a promise delivered. It cannot be measured with a tape or anything. How do you measure that? And once measured, they see the difference is going to be drastic. It could be too much because it's only a concept. It's very subjective. There could be n number of riders, n number of things because of which it is difficult. But then why we will be dwelling out? Why should we understand valuation? For you as all brand managers and brand in advertising, working for brands, what are the reasons? I understand. What can you think of the benefits that could be to you to understand how valuation is done? Can anybody come up and say, tell me, so that I know what are you expecting of? When we talk of valuation, what do you want to understand from valuation? What are the benefits that you can carry by understanding how the valuation is done? It's a complete silence. Yeah.
To what extent a person is getting satisfied?
To what extent a person is getting satisfied, that is a measure of one person. But when you measure or when you value a brand, you value the brand as a whole, which is a sum total of the understandings or the perception or the satisfaction level of all the customers, not one.
You're talking about person. Then I value it according to that.
Yeah.
If you are talking about brand as a company,
Yeah.
company, then it will be valued in a different way.
See, you started a company, and then you started a factory. You have got so many assets. You have got so many liabilities. You created so many things. You invested your time and you invested your money. But what happens at the end of the year when the balance sheet comes in? What you have is there's asset, there's fixed current assets, there are some liabilities, and there's net worth. The net worth of the company would be the fixed assets plus Current assets minus liabilities. That's all. After 5 years or 10 years of hard work and lot of efforts you have put in that company and bringing up the brand, you want to retire, you for whatever reasons you want to sell that brand, or you want to sell that company. Will you sell it at a price or at the net worth of the balance sheet? What will you sell at? You would like to encash the value of the brand that you have created in 10 years. How will you arrive at that figure? What is the price that you want to get from selling the entire company? That rightly said. Goodwill is a way of, or is the name that we use in the books to represent the value of the brand. Goodwill comes into account once the company is sold. So long as the company is not sold, the value of the brand is not seen in the balance sheet. What is seen is only and only the assets, the real assets and the real liabilities. Or you say the tangible assets and the tangible liabilities. Intangible asset, which is a goodwill, is a conversion or is a name used for depicting the brand value. And that is decided only once the company is sold. So the valuation, this valuation of this goodwill that you have created, there are a number of ways and methods to go through, to get. That's what here it is. The tangible assets, less liabilities is net worth of the company. Added goodwill, it gives you the value of the business. This C is the value of the brand. This is the brand value, which changes at drop of a hand or drop of a pin. It is different at any date, any time. It's different from person to person, and it is also different from end user to end user. I have a flat, I want to sell it. I go to the property dealer. He said, you'll not get anything more than 50 lakhs. I send my wife separately, ask the property dealer, I want to purchase that flat. 60 lakhs se kam mein nahi milega. So the valuation of the flat is different from the end user. If you are a buyer, or you are a seller, or you are a consultant, or you are an auditor, it's always different. And their methodology is also different. It is also different when the type of the business is different. The methodology will be different. And it may be different from $1 billion to $9 billion or $10 billion. 10 times difference will also be there, and because of n number of reasons. The brand valuation is the process used to calculate the value of brands. Historically, most of companies' value was in tangible assets, such as property, stock, machinery, or land. This has now changed, and the majority of most of the companies' value is in tangible assets, such as their brand name or names. The concept of brand valuation emerged in late 1970s when conglomerates were looking to a low profile but sound business houses for acquisition. Then what happens when a company is having so many brands? You cannot value them, value the company. The value of that company would be the sum total of the individual brands valued together. We cannot value the company as a total and then the good will be considered as a brand. There might be some of the brand will have a negative value, and some will have a positive value somewhere in the middle. So each brand is valued separately. To value a brand separately and then get to the company's value, business value, we have different methods, different ways of going through. Then the value of valuation, that's what I said. The valuation is an expert's opinion only. It is only an opinion after so many exercises, so many methodologies that we'll be going through. Ultimately, what it is, it's the opinion of an expert. I, as a brand valuation expert, I am a freelancer. For example, I do the valuation of one of the brands. I did it. I submitted my report. Today, signed it, stamped it, and final. Tomorrow morning, I got a call from PwC. Yeah, Mr. Zaidi, please join in. We need your services badly. The same day I joined, and the next day I submitted a report. I was asked, first assignment was to value the same brand. I submitted the same copy-paste on the PwC's letterhead. Same report. Two report goes on one valuation report on my letterhead, the other valuation report on PwC's letterhead. Both goes to you as a buyer. Which one will you take up? Which one will you believe? It's the valuation, is the perception. The value of the valuation is also different based on the brand, based on the letterhead. It might be using the same thing. And it is on a specific date. No valuer will take responsibility that the value of the valuation or the value of that brand is forever, is valid for a year. It's valid for only one day. The value of Maggie on 20th May was on 20th May. On 21st May, it was different. The day gone, the value is gone. We may use it subsequently saying this is the latest valuation report, that's all. But at most you can do is this is the latest valuation report, that's all. It has no value the day after. And it is also subject to a number of listed conditions, subject to this. There are so many conditions. A valuer will always put in, because these are the conditions which applied. The condition changes, the value changes. Could vary heavily based on the methodology applied, and could vary based on the end use. People, it seems, are getting very sleepy. Am I boring all of you? Just I'm proving this point, that he, as a advertisement person, he said he is boring. So a person like a chartered accountant or who has been in finance since 1990 or 1985 would still be the same, or should be square. Brand valuation methodology, that's what we will be coming to. Why do we need? You are the builders of the brand. You can make or break a brand. You create so many ads, you make so many efforts. But for you, it's really very important to understand, or for us, it is really very necessary to understand that what are the factors that adds to the value of the brand. What may come? These are the factors which will affect the value of a brand. These are some short-listed ones. There are many approaches. There could be different ways and different approaches. You are experts here. You are managers. You've got several stories behind your experiences. You also can create another method. some of the methods that has been generated by, have been created by ad agencies, not finance people. They are brand managers and brand experts who have created models to value a brand, which we as chartered accountant or the finance guy apply it for valuation. So people here in the floor might be as good expert or as good or maybe better. You can come up and suggest a better method to value a brand. These are the list of some commonly used methods of valuation. It's not all, the list is not exhaustive. It can be many ways. There are some approaches, like income approach is, it says what have been the income in the past so many years. The brand is 10 years old. So whatever income it has generated in the past 10 years, so bring in a present value of those 10 years income, and that is the value of the brand. Well, this is a thinking. This could give you a value, but then inflation rates have been tremendous in the past, and the future earning capacity is different in the future. The market was different in last 10 years. The coming 10 years are much different. So somebody will come up and say, sure, this is not the right way. The cost was different in the past so many years. Costs are different now. Earning capacity should be the basis. The earning capacity for the next 10 years, calculate, forecast those earning capacities, bring it to the present value. That will be the value of the brand. If that is the value of the brand, then somebody will come up and say, sir, who has seen the future? Something happens. The value of a brand is volatile. How will you ensure that this is the earning capacity for next 10 years? So next 10 years figures is all still perception and estimation or a forecast, which can be different from person to person, from an expert to an expert, from a chartered accountant to a chartered accountant. It will be different. The financial modeling technique will have a different value. So this is also not an acceptable method. What will happen then? They say, okay, come on. Let's come in between and see what's the market will say. We'll bring in some buyers. We'll use the price determination mechanism, and what the market says, that should be the price. That should be the value of the brand. But the problem here is, yes, we bring in the buyers, let him quote a price. That buyer quotes a price, that is the value of the brand. Again, that's the value of the brand. No, that's not. That is the capacity of the person, paying capacity. That is the money that he is having in his pocket. And that's the reason why he wants to buy at that price. That's not the brand value of the brand. The other problem might come in. It's not a car that you're selling. It's not something for which you'll have plenty of buyers. Finding a buyer for a brand will be very difficult. It might be for years you don't find anything. You'll have to carry on, have that brand. It is by chance or luck that you come across a buyer and he gives a good price. So even market value method would be contested. So these are all methods or the approaches through which we can value a brand. But they have an impact on the value of brand. But those are not the right ways, or there's nothing very perfect method of valuation in all these three approaches: income approach, valuation approach. Some experts say, okay, we'll value on all these methods and take the average. Well, that's like when you want to, that's the story along with that as well. Wanted to cross a river, and the average height of the people who wanted to cross, the 4-5 people, was 6 feet. And the average depth of the river was 5 feet. So they wanted, okay, we can cross. What happened? Everybody drowned. Because at one point, the depth of the river was 20 feet. So that is the problem with the law of averages. You cannot create a value, you cannot calculate a value by taking the averages. So this approach is also not right. Well, the other approaches, top-down, bottom-up, hybrid, are only nomenclatures and ways of grouping the various approaches. They are not real approaches. They are only groupings and the ways how do you group these approaches. Top-down approach is like the value of the organization is like this net worth and it's calculated, and we got a seller, he buys it, and then we go down the reverse calculation, and then so many brands, we allocate values, and this is the value of the brand. In the bottom approach, up approach, you get to the product that it's going to sell. You package it without the branding, sell it in the market. You package it in a branded product, sell it in the market. You see, there's a difference of 10 rupees per package in the price when you sell it in that brand's name. That 10 rupees difference is multiplied by the prospective sale quantity, and that gives you the valuation of the product. This is like bottom-up approach. When you combine so many approaches together, it becomes a hybrid approach. Then comes the royalty relief method. It's again the same thing. It's like income approach. What is the, very similar to income approach. What is the amount of royalty that you will have to pay over a period of your lease? If you want to lease that brand, what is the royalty that you will be paying across for the period? Bring down that into a present value, and that will be the value of the brand. Now, IPL valuation was done with royalty relief method because there's no other better method of valuing the brand because it doesn't sell a product. They charge a royalty. That's why it's a royalty relief method was used there. Young and Rubicam's brand asset valuator method. This is again a big. Young and Rubicam was the advertising agency who created this model. Then that model is again having a problem. They created a model. I would like to cover up with that as well. Economic use method, I've already discussed. Over a period of economic use, you calculate it's the present value, that gives the valuation method. Young and Rubicam's brand asset valuator method is one other method which has not been talked so far, which measures the value. That value is, they measure it on two axes. One is brand strength and brand stature. Brand strength is taken on x-axis, brand value is, brand stature is taken on x-axis, and brand strength is on y-axis, and they create this and do create, plot your brand in that x-axis. Where do you feel the strength and the value of these brands are? The biggest problem in this valuator method is, this has been appreciated a lot in so many circles, in so many places. But the problem in this model is how to assign a value. It could be a very good theory. It could be a very good theory, but it doesn't give a specific value. So we go back to the same old methods. This might be a good valuation understanding to create good concept, but it's not a real method which can give you a proper value. Economic use method, I've already talked, is net present value of the profit streams. That goes. We can also do it a combination way. Like we take the incomes, we take the futures, and we come down to a place and take an average. Here you can come at a common point. In real sense, what happens in reality? The evaluators, most of the evaluation experts, give a report in so many methods. The value as per this method is this method is this method is this method is this. You as a user, take the figure. This one suits me the best. And that is the value. Economic use methods has also got so many details. We don't want to go into the details of so many because of the shortage of time. I would like to say some notepad scribblings. If at all this is important, I took it down in some lectures, by some lectures, and some lectures. I just noted down my scribblings. These are here. Sow your seeds in the most fertile land, where you can get the best premium and the longest economic use. To create a brand, when you get the highest premium and the longest economic period, that will give you the highest value of the brand. Law of diminishing return applies. Budget. You always have a budget. You cannot create your brand and you don't have a budget. You can spend anything in your budget. Budget spread should add to strength and stature. Look for best returns on investment. A small error or negligence can be disastrous. Operating departments are crucial. They deliver you your promises. Give me a land and I'll build a castle. I cannot create a shortcut out of a bubble. Goodwill adds on to the net worth. There should be some net worth. Goodwill gets added on to that. If you don't have a net worth, you cannot create value, brand, or goodwill over nothing. There should be always a net worth over which whatever gets added is your brand value. That's it, and thank you for a patient listening. I have taken more time.
Sorry, I wanted to ask one question.
Yeah, please.
Which is, how do you measure, the value of these e-commerce companies in today's world? I mean, there is.
Sorry, how do you measure the value of e-commerce companies like, not just the Flipkarts and Snapdeals, but the newer companies which nobody's heard of, e-commerce entities. So is it, of course, there is revenue, the old-fashioned, markers. But what about the newer and sometimes controversial measurements like GMV, like customer value over a lifetime, and so on and so forth?
Yeah. See, going back to this slide where I have listed the methods, you see, what are the things available? How can it be done? Historical cost? No, it's not there. You've got replacement cost method. It's like if you want to create a new e-commerce, this could be, if you want to create a new e-commerce site, you want to beat Flipkart, or you want to beat Amazon. how much cost you have to incur to beat Snapdeal or beat Flipkart or beat Amazon. That cost would be the brand value of that product. So when the value of the new product cannot be valued with replacement cost method. Market value method, this can be, if you go and try to sell in the market, somebody who is ready to buy us, whatever price he offers, that's the value of brand. The other thing is economic use method or the future earning method, economic use method, which I said, is the future earning capacity method. Or that could be the most or the closest way of valuing those brands. That how much cash inflow you can generate out of it over a period of 5 or 10 years, depending upon the life that you are foreseeing of that site. In this digital these days, the life of a site or the product or a brand is very less. It used to happen that we still have Bata working and going strong. But then today, brands come up and go up very fast. So take a judicious length of a period or a year, you expect the life of that brand, and project or extrapolate or forecast the earning capacity and bring them down into a present value, and that value will be the value of that product or that brand. Yeah, please.
Okay, assuming, coming from, taking the assumption that a brand would want to value itself because they want to sell their brand in the market. So I actually have two questions. One is, what are the questions? So coming from the assumption that a brand wants to get valued because they want to sell the brand in the market, and it is in their interest that the value being higher, right? So once the balance sheets have been evaluated and when you are coming to the goodwill part, what are the key questions that you ask and who is the best person to answer those?
It's a pretty big exercise for which we have experts and we have consultants doing that, which is called due diligence. It's a big exercise, it's done. The valuation will be built up over that. After doing the due diligence, the facts and the information that is collected from due diligence exercises every bit of information will add and have an effect on the valuation, and those information will be deciding which method is appropriate to be applied over here. But what really happens in the world is, again, we do all sorts of exercises, and ultimately when it goes to the table of the buyer and the seller will take the highest one, and the buyer will accept the highest one. You come together on the table, negotiate, come at a point, agree to it, that is the value of the brand.
The second question that I had was, having competition, is that a factor in valuation?
Yes, it will have. Because competition will affect the premium that you are claiming in the market. If the competition goes stronger, it's like a seesaw. You have 1 million buyers. If out of 1 million, 800 goes on one side, their valuation goes up, your valuation goes down. That this valuation or the value of the product, it depends upon the premium, the capacity of premium that you are able to claim in the market in the price. That will affect the valuation. Anything else, Yafin?
Flipkart's valuation decreasing? Yesterday also Morgan Stanley reduced it to $9.5 billion.
Yes. Because Morgan Stanley has a stake in their in Flipkart, and they can play with, and they are the valuation experts also. If the valuation is high, the money that they are getting from they'll keep changing. Anything else? Yeah, please.
Yeah, what are the different kind of mistakes which investors do while struggling with brand valuation?
The mistakes that the investors do is you think of and we have it. Everything. The silliest kind of thing you will see, you will not be able to imagine. Yes, people have done that kind of mistake. Those who earn are out of the mistakes of the other investors. In the words of Warren Buffett, the master of all investors, the greatest investor, the most successful investors, I've still not learned enough. You cannot predict any longer, any amount of studies you do. You cannot predict and you cannot be a sure shot winner in the investment market. Be ready to lose anytime. There is no thumb rule, no rules, no theory. If you can't bear the loss, don't step into the market. Even Warren Buffett says, I'm not an expert. So all kinds of mistakes happen even with the experts. That's it. Any further thing that I can add on? My contacts are available with Talis. If anything which I can help, let's do later on. Yeah.
Mr. Jayadi, you said that goodwill is added to the net worth, and then it becomes the valuation of the company, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And goodwill is the value of the brand, right?
Yeah.
So are we heading in a direction where we can just sell the brand, not the company? For example, let me put it more clarity into this. You might have heard this Kingfisher,
Yeah.
The bank put its brand on auction for 300 crore or something like that, okay?
Yes.
And nobody was the taker of it, you know
Yeah.
that, okay?
Yeah.
So how we can separate these balance sheets from the, value of the brand, where no investor, nobody is concerned about the, assets, liability, and those sort of things,
See, value of the brand doesn't come into the balance sheet of the seller. So long as you are the owner of the brand or the founder or the creator of the brand, the value of the brand will never show in your books. The value of the brand starts showing as goodwill only once the company or the brand is sold. The purchaser, he has paid $1 million. But when he gets, the assets are worth only $200 million. $200, $50, whatever it may be. The difference, why he has paid for, the excess amount that he has paid for is the value of the brand, which goes as the goodwill of the purchasing company. For this owner or the creator of the brand, the value still remains unaccounted, unseen, not depicted in any of the reports. The only value is, the method is to see either the future earnings or the past earnings or whatever method is rightly applicable to the nature of the business of our organization.
So what these banks were trying to sell for 300 crores of Kingfisher brand?
I couldn't get your brand.
I said Kingfisher brand was put on the auction for 300 crores, right?
Yeah.
So what these banks were trying to sell then? There was no balance sheet, nothing,
they were
assets.
selling the brand. You will be better equipped to answer that question than myself. I'm a chartered accountant and I can do all kinds of valuation of tangible things. You will tell me what is brand that they are, what is brand that is being valued. I'll only audit and say, yes, you're taking the right figure or not. What is valued, you are the better person to equip and better, you can tell me and explain me. What is brand? Somebody has given the value of yeah. See, that happens. There are so many experts. What must have happened? They have hired a good consultant, and he would have had a meeting with the top notch of the bank. This is the amount in stake. This is what the money that we want. Adjust your valuation to this amount. So that's the amount the bank needed. That's not the value of the brand. That is the amount that the brand was willing to sell the brand for. Anything else? Thank you for giving me a patience listening.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to India's first corporate news channel. We invite interviews, articles, press releases from your organization. Visit our portal www.indianconventions.com. Thank you.